We need to talk about Christian influencers.
Uh-oh. That's
Welcome back to my
me.
channel, everyone. My name is Isabella Cameron, and I break down issues in culture from a Christian perspective. And today we're talking about Christian influencers. I think a lot of y'all probably clicked on this video because you want to hear me rag on Christian influencers and tell you all the ways that they mess up and all the ways that you should look out for them and how they're actually horrible people and you shouldn't follow them. But actually, we're here to talk about you, okay? The followers of the Christian influencers, because I spend a lot of time on Instagram and on TikTok, and I follow a lot of Christian influencers because it's nice to see some light in the influencer space. But when I click on the comments, there are a lot of you guys that are so-called Christians that claim the name of Jesus and are acting foul in the comment section. And that's crazy. Okay, so I need to talk about that. And I think where a lot of us are going wrong, a lot of these followers, is that you're looking at these Christian influencers as if they're supposed to be the key to your salvation. They're supposed to be perfect. We are all disciples. We are all followers of Jesus. If you claim to be and you want to be, you're supposed to be a disciple of Jesus. And we all mess up. Like, they're not supposed to be your God. They're not supposed to be perfect. And I think a lot of people have this expectation that they're never going to mess up or they're never going to do anything wrong because they have lots of followers, which is silly. And if we look at what the Bible says, Romans 3:23, for all have sinned and fall short of the glory of God. So, okay, we're
Amen.
all human sinners,
That's
right?
true.
There's also, I've, brought up this verse a lot talking about leaders in the church and pastors and stuff, but it does say that leaders it says that teachers will be judged more harshly, right? So in James 3:1, it says, not many of you should become teachers, my brothers, for you know that we who teach will be judged with greater strictness. Now, I do think that there are some people with a platform who actually are biblical teachers. Like, there are people who have the podcast and who have the speaking events, and I would consider them teachers because you're teaching the Bible, right? But then there are some influencers who literally just post about their life and like also love Jesus, and they'll post encouraging things every now and then, or how their struggles with the Lord and their struggles on their Christian walk. That's different. If you're teaching the Bible, you're held to a higher standard, and you better believe you need to have your stuff straight. That's important because you can lead people astray. But we also have a responsibility to check everything that we hear against the Bible. I've talked about this so many times. Every pastor, every teacher, every influencer, check it against the Bible. And if it doesn't align with the Bible, throw it out. That doesn't mean you need to be in their comment section hating on them. It just means you disregard. That's it. With the people.
Um, I get her point. I get her point. I see what she's talking about. But I do feel like that passage, Jackie Hill Perry, she said that, right? Um, that you will be held to a higher standard, bro. And don't think just because you on YouTube, you're not a preacher, you're not a teacher, right? Ooh, bars. Me, cause I'm, you could say that about myself, right? I, oftentimes, I try to speak on things from a biblical perspective. Well, not oftentimes. That's what this channel is about. I speak on things from a biblical perspective, but I don't try to show that I'm a know-it-all. It's more so these things. This is what comes to mind when I see this content, right? That's kind of what I'm trying to show you guys, and hopefully, it's good, but we'll see.
The people that are just sharing their lives, if they're messing up, why are we surprised? If they do something you don't agree with, why are you surprised? You're human, they're human. So it feels ridiculous to me to be up in their comment section bashing them for wearing something you wouldn't wear or saying something you wouldn't say, when in reality, we are all imperfect people that are being made holy every day and sanctified by God, them the same as you. The Bible talks about judging other Christians and judging other believers, that we're supposed to be holding each other accountable. But it says in Galatians 6:1, brothers, if anyone is caught in any transgression, you who are spiritual should restore him in a spirit of gentleness. Keep watch on yourself, lest you too be tempted. And here's some things with this verse, right?
I feel like no one.
So one, we're supposed.
I felt like no one ever quotes that verse. That was a really good verse, actually. I think that was a really good. Props to her. Props to Isabella Cameron. That was a really good verse, and I don't feel like anyone ever uses that verse or does not get enough use, because I was spot on. I feel like
To restore people. It's about restoration, not about judgment. We're not the ones giving judgment. God is. Our job is to judge right from wrong, to discern right from wrong, and then restore them with the Lord by going to them in a spirit of gentleness, being like, hey, like, I really think that this is a stumbling block, or like, I don't think that what you're doing is in line with the Bible, and my concern is your relationship with God, not your offense, not how it's hurt you. Their relationship with God is the main priority. Now, if you see someone legitimately sinning, like a Christian influencer, online, is legitimately doing something wrong, not just a preference that you don't like, okay? You could leave a comment in gentleness and be like, hey girl, love you. I would like, when I see this, it makes me think of this Bible verse, and it concerns me for your relationship with God, for you personally, for between you and God. If you wanted to, you could. Are they going to read it? Probably not. So the thing is, like, I don't know how productive that is. And like, ideally, when we're correcting other believers, we should have a relationship with them. And you don't have a relationship with these people online. It may feel like that because you watch some.
I felt, yeah, exactly. I feel like this is why you got to get your butt in the church. I feel like parasocial relationships are not genuine or not true relationships. That's just what it is. I don't think they're genuine relationships. Like, nothing beats like in-person relationships. There's nothing that beats it, sadly.
Watch so much of their lives and everything that they choose to put out there. But in reality, you don't know them. So commenting really isn't going to accomplish much, and it just adds to the fire of comments. When if you see something you don't like, just scroll. And where it says keep watch on yourself lest you too be tempted, there are a lot of influencers I've had to unfollow or block because they make me so angry that I need to not see it. And this is Christian and not Christian. There are people online that frustrate me beyond belief. And instead of what I get so frustrated that I want to send it to my friend and be like, can you believe they did this? And gossip about them and slander them behind their back, right? When instead, if you see something that you think is not right, you should pray for them because they're people too, especially the Christian influencers. You should pray for them that they would feel convicted, that they would grow in their relationship with God, that they would continue to be sanctified, they would continue to surrender things. Instead of being like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she did that. And then sending it to your friend and talking about this influencer behind their back. And there are some people that claim Christ and I'm like, I just don't see any of that in any of your content and it bothers me personally. So instead of being tempted to slander or to gossip, I just scroll or I don't follow them or I block them so I don't see it. Because it's better that you're not tempted to just remove it from your life. Like there's that verse that says like pluck out your own eyeball or cut off your right hand if it causes you to sin, which is metaphorical and symbolic. Yeah. But like if something is causing you to sin and is causing you to be tempted, get rid of it. It's not worth it. Why is like, it's not worth feeding the flesh, right?
Yeah.
And I think that Christian influencers get a lot of flack because they mess up. And it's this idea that like, well, you're supposed to be a Christian and you're supposed to be perfect, but they're not. And I would so much rather have imperfect Christian influencers than no Christian influencers because
I think this idea that Christian influencers are supposed to be perfect actually comes from the world and also baby Christians, right? And I feel like baby Christians are the ones who are mostly are the viewers, are the baby Christians, right? I think when you start maturing as a Christian, life starts to get busy. You start doing stuff. It's like things start getting busy real quick. And so, yeah, when you are, or I mean, maybe not busy per se, but you start going through a rough time, right? You know, the devil be trying to attack you. And God has things for you to do, to meet, to talk to other people in person, right? So, yeah.
The influencer space is so secular. It's refreshing to see people who love God, even when they mess up, especially when they mess up, because it shows they are human like you are human. That is the type of influence you should have. You should be putting good things of God.
I think she's right. Because so often we see with like the secular artists, they don't often humble themselves, right? And when we are introduced or when we see a secular artist like Boris Frank the other day, I feel like he humbled himself before his audience, and that was just so kind and charitable, even till the very end. Oh yeah, but that video he made. So yeah, I just that's what we want to see. We want to see more of that. We need to see more of that, right? That stuff like that. I think that shapes culture. If we see that more often, that'll shape culture.
God onto the internet if you're going to put anything onto the internet. And then also it goes to show that they're not perfect, just like you're not perfect. If you see a Christian influencer wear something that you think they shouldn't or say something that you think they shouldn't, pray for them, scroll, stop engaging, don't comment, and just pray for them because most of these people are also really young and you should be praying that they have mentorship, that they have discipleship, that they have a church community that they're plugged into, things that are good for them. And even if they mess up or do something you don't agree with, that doesn't mean that they're not speaking truth. There are plenty of pastors who've spoken so many sermons that are truth and they still, have to resign from their church because of sin. Like that happens. We all sin, but there's still truth that can be spoken. And ultimately, they shouldn't be your idols. So when they sin, it shouldn't really affect you because they're not Jesus. And if you're following people and putting them on a pedestal, you need to realign. You need to figure out your priorities because Jesus should be the only person you're modeling your life after. This is going to sound cringy, but he should be the ultimate influencer. He is how we're supposed to model our lives. Like back in the day with rabbis, when they followed a rabbi, it wasn't just teach me everything. It was teach me to be like you. So if we're going to be students of Jesus as a rabbi, like the disciples were when he was on earth, that's what we should be doing is modeling our lives after him, not modeling our lives after some Christian influencer. There are going to be things that Christian influencers do that are like legitimately wrong. And then there's going to be a lot of them that are just personal preference or denominational issues. That's like, okay, you don't agree with. So what? Pray for them. And if you feel like they're doing something wrong, use that to make sure that it's not conviction against you. Like if you see someone and you're like, I can't believe they would wear that, that's immodest. Okay, so you don't wear that then. If you feel like convicted by seeing them wear it, then that's just confirmation that you shouldn't be wearing it. And you can take that as conviction. So ultimately, when you see these Christian influencers, it is much more important to keep yourself away from temptation and just scroll. Don't be up in the comment section. Don't do that. It's embarrassing. It's not a good representation of Christ to be up in there being like, I can't believe you would do that. That's stupid. Don't do it. It's bad for the brand, okay? Don't do it. So this week, when you see Christian influencers on your feed, if you see something you don't agree with, or if you agree with everything they said, use this as an exercise. Every time you see one of their videos, pray for them.
Boom. All right, what do I got next? Okay, that's gonna be it for this video. Yeah. All right. Thanks for watching, guys.